Have you ever looked into a child's eyes and felt nothing? No warmth, no remorse, just an unsettling emptiness staring back? As parents, we believe our children are born innocent, that with enough love and guidance, they'll find their way. But what if some children don't? What if instead of growing out of bad behavior, they grow into something much darker? Most mischief is harmless, tantrums, rebellion, even lying. But some behaviors hint at something far more dangerous. A lack of empathy, a fascination with cruelty, a disregard for right and wrong. These aren't just childhood phases. They are signs of a nature that does not change, only deepens. And history has shown us that the most dangerous individuals didn't become that way overnight. The signs were always there. If you've ever felt uneasy about your child's behavior, if something about them just feels off, but you can't explain why, you need to pay attention. In this video, we'll uncover 7 warning signs that your own child may have an evil nature. These are not easy truths, but ignoring them won't make them disappear. Stay with me. What you learn today could change everything. Sign 1. Lack of empathy. Seneca once wrote, "A wicked man harms himself before he harms others." But what happens when a child shows no sign of harm, no guilt, no regret, no hesitation when they hurt those around them? Children misbehave. They throw tantrums, push boundaries, and struggle to understand emotions. That is part of growing up. But some children don't just break the rules. They break them without remorse. They lie without guilt. They hurt without hesitation. And no matter how much love, discipline, or guidance they receive, they do not change. A lack of empathy is not just a flaw in character. It is a warning, a glimpse into a mind that sees others as objects, not as fellow human beings. Empathy is what makes us human. It is what makes a child feel guilty after hurting someone, what makes them comfort a crying friend. But some children feel nothing. They see suffering and remain unmoved. They laugh at pain instead of offering help. At first, it may seem like simple immaturity. They just don't understand emotions yet. But even a toddler instinctively offers comfort. When a child consistently ignores the feelings of others, it is not a lack of understanding, it is a lack of care. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What injures the hive injures the bee." A child who lacks empathy does not see themselves as part of the hive. They see no reason to care about fairness, kindness, or the suffering of others. If they cheat, they don't feel ashamed. If they break something, they don't feel guilty. If they hurt someone, they don't apologize, unless they are forced to. And even then, it is a hollow gesture. They push, insult, and torment others, not out of frustration, but because they simply do not care. Over time, this absence of empathy deepens. A child who cannot feel for others grows into an adult who manipulates, lies, and inflicts harm without hesitation. They learn to mimic emotions when it benefits them. But behind the mask, there is only cold calculation. What starts as refusing to share a toy or finding amusement in cruelty can evolve into something far more dangerous. As they grow older, they may become cruel not out of anger, but for entertainment. A sibling's distress is amusing. A classmate's struggle is an opportunity for mockery. They do not see people as individuals with emotions, but as tools to be used, obstacles to be removed, or sources of entertainment. Epictetus once warned, "It is not things that disturb us, but our perception of them." A child with no empathy is not disturbed by suffering. They do not react to punishment the way normal children do. A child with a conscience, when disciplined, may feel regret, embarrassment, or the desire to make things right. A child without empathy feels nothing. They may pretend to be sorry, not because they mean it, but because they have learned that faking emotions gets them what they want. Parents who recognize these signs often feel a deep, unshakable fear. What is wrong with my child? Will they grow out of this? The hard truth is that some never do. A single cruel act does not define a person, but a pattern of callousness, one that persists despite love, discipline, and guidance, is a sign that should never be ignored. To lack empathy is to lack the foundation of virtue, and a child who grows up without it does not simply become a troubled adult, they become a danger to others. Sign 2, manipulative behavior. Seneca once wrote, "He who does not prevent a crime when he can encourages it." And manipulation, though subtle, is a crime against truth itself. Some children do not merely break rules, they bend them to control those around them. They do not cry because they are sad, they cry because they know it will make you give in. They do not apologize out of guilt, they do it because they know it will end the conversation. They do not lie out of fear, they lie because deception gives them power. At first, their manipulations seem harmless, blaming a sibling, faking innocence, using tears to get their way. But over time, their tactics become more dangerous. They refine the ability to guilt trip, feign emotions, and twist reality. They study how people react, pressing the right buttons to get what they want. A manipulative child learns early that emotions can be weapons. They act helpless to make others do their work. They shift blame so convincingly that the innocent appear guilty. Around parents, they act sweet and obedient. Around friends, they dominate and control. In front of teachers, they become the model student. Every act is carefully calculated, every emotion an illusion. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." A child who builds their world on manipulation does not stop. They play the victim to escape punishment. They plant doubt in others' minds, turning friends against each other. They do not feel remorse, only satisfaction in how easily they control people. And as they grow, their deception deepens. They steal and blame others. They cheat and twist the story. They use guilt, tears, and false innocence to get away with anything. Worst of all, they begin to believe their own lies. If left unchecked, manipulation does not fade, it strengthens. A child who learns to control others through deceit does not simply grow out of it, they grow into it. And one day they become adults who deceive, cheat, and betray without a second thought. Sign 3, excessive lying without guilt. Seneca once wrote, "A liar is not believed even when he speaks the truth." And yet some children do not merely lie, they build entire worlds out of deception, without hesitation, without guilt, and without any sense of responsibility for the harm they cause. Most children lie at some point. They lie to avoid punishment, to gain something they desire, or simply to test boundaries. But there is a difference between a child who lies occasionally and one who lies constantly, effortlessly, as if the truth itself is meaningless. A normal child, when caught in a lie, hesitates. They avoid eye contact. They fidget. They eventually admit the truth, weighed down by guilt. But a child without conscience? They lie without blinking. Even when caught red-handed, they double down, as if reality bends to their will. At first, the lies may seem harmless, claiming they brushed their teeth when they didn't, blaming a sibling for something they obviously did. But over time, the lies become more elaborate, more manipulative. They fabricate entire stories. They twist facts to suit their desires. They deceive with unsettling ease. They do not just lie when necessary. They lie for the thrill of control, for the satisfaction of misleading others, for the sheer power of shaping perception. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what happens when a child's thoughts are consumed by deception? For them, lies are not just tools, they are weapons. They learn how to look you in the eye and lie so convincingly that even adults begin to doubt themselves. They tell falsehoods not out of fear, but with confidence, as if their words alone can rewrite reality. And in many cases, they do. One of the most chilling traits of a habitual liar is their ability to deceive without cause. Normal children lie when it benefits them, when they fear punishment or seek reward. But some children lie for no reason at all. They fabricate stories just to watch others struggle with confusion. They test how far they can push reality before it breaks. When questioned, they do not panic. They do not retreat. Instead, they expand upon their falsehoods, layering deception upon deception, deepening the illusion until it becomes almost impossible to separate fact from fiction. Unlike most children who fear being caught, these children do not care if one lie is exposed. They seamlessly replace it with another. If confronted with undeniable proof, they act as if it doesn't matter. They show no fear, no embarrassment, no emotional response, because they feel nothing at all. Some even manipulate emotions to strengthen their deception. When their lies begin to unravel, they may cry, act offended, or shift the blame onto others. They understand that people are more likely to believe someone who appears vulnerable, and they use this knowledge to their advantage. As they grow older, their lies become more dangerous. They spread rumors, create chaos, and turn people against one another, not for survival, but for control. They destroy friendships, manipulate relationships, and set innocent people up for failure. One of the darkest signs of an evil nature is the ease with which a child moves between lies and truth. One moment, they are fabricating a complete falsehood with perfect confidence. The next, they are behaving as if nothing happened. There is no stress, no anxiety, no internal conflict, because to them, lies are just words, and truth is whatever they decide it to be. The longer they get away with deception, the more dangerous they become. They lose all respect for honesty. They learn that reality is not something to be respected, but something to be shaped, manipulated, and controlled. If left unchecked, they do not grow out of this habit. They grow into it. They become adults who lie effortlessly, who deceive without conscience, who destroy without remorse. And worst of all, they believe they will never face consequences. But the Stoics knew the truth. A life built on lies is a life destined to collapse. Sign 4. No guilt or remorse for their actions. Epictetus once said, "It is not things that trouble us, but our opinions about them." But what happens when a child holds no opinion of right and wrong? When they do harm, yet feel nothing? Most children, even when they misbehave, experience guilt. If they break a rule, they fear the consequences. If they hurt someone, they feel remorse. If they disappoint someone they love, they show regret. Guilt is what teaches them right from wrong, shaping their conscience over time. But a child who lacks guilt does not just misbehave. They do so without care, without hesitation, without consequence. If they break something valuable, they shrug. If they cause someone pain, they move on as if nothing happened. If caught in a lie, they double down, spinning new falsehoods without the slightest hesitation. At first, a parent may believe their child is simply strong-willed or emotionally reserved, but then they notice, no matter how serious the situation, the child remains indifferent. A sibling cries because of something they did, no reaction. Discipline is given, no regret. If they apologize, it is empty. Just words spoken to end the conversation, nothing more. Seneca once wrote, "A crime committed with a clear conscience is the most dangerous of all." And that is what makes a child without guilt so alarming. They do not fear consequences. Most children behave because they understand that misdeeds lead to punishment. But for a child without remorse, punishment is meaningless. You can take away privileges. You can ground them. You can discipline them in any way. It will not change their behavior. Instead of reflecting on their actions, they focus on avoiding getting caught next time. Some children even learn to fake guilt. They watch others, mimicking what adults expect to see. They cry when punished, not because they feel bad, but because they know it might earn them sympathy. They apologize when necessary, but only as a strategy, not as an expression of genuine regret. As they grow, their lack of conscience makes them more dangerous. Since they do not feel bad about harming others, they do it more frequently. Since they do not care about punishment, they become better at deception. They refine their ability to manipulate, turning guilt and remorse into weapons, tools they wield against others, rather than emotions they experience themselves. One of the most chilling aspects of a child without guilt is their reaction, or lack thereof, to the suffering of others. They witness pain and feel nothing. If confronted about their actions, they stare blankly as if it means nothing to them. If they lie, steal, bully, or even inflict physical harm, they move on without a second thought. Worse, if you try to hold them accountable, they may act annoyed, as if your concern is the real inconvenience. Guilt is what keeps us human. It is what makes us learn, grow, and change. A child who never feels it, no matter how severe their actions, is showing a dangerous lack of conscience. Without intervention, they grow into adults who lie, manipulate, and hurt others without regret. without remorse, without a second thought. Sign 5, cruelty to animals. Seneca once wrote, "The first step toward kindness is to cease to harm." But what does it mean when a child takes pleasure in harm? When their first instinct is not to nurture, but to destroy. Many children love animals, whether it is a family pet, a stray cat, or even a small insect. They recognize these creatures as living beings. Even when young children accidentally hurt an animal out of curiosity, they usually react with guilt, sadness, or the desire to make things right. But some children feel nothing. Worse, they enjoy it. They do not see animals as creatures with feelings, but as objects to control, torment, and break. At first, their cruelty may seem minor. A pulled tail, a thrown rock, a careless action. But the difference is in how they respond. A child with empathy will feel remorse. A child without it will feel amusement. They may kick, hit, or trap an animal just to see its reaction. They may strangle a pet, pull the legs off insects, or inflict pain simply to satisfy their curiosity. And when confronted, they do not stop. They either ignore the warning or laugh. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." A child who repeatedly harms animals is shaping their nature into something dangerous. Studies have shown that many violent criminals, including serial killers, started by harming animals before turning to people. Why? Because animals are defenseless. They cannot tell anyone what happened. They cannot seek justice. They cannot fight back. If a child learns that they can cause suffering without consequence, they often seek greater control. First over animals, then over people. Parents who witness this behavior sometimes dismiss it. They're just curious. They don't know any better. It's just a phase. But this is not a phase. If a child repeatedly hurts animals, laughs about it, or shows no remorse, it is a serious warning sign. Some children try to hide their cruelty. The family dog suddenly becomes afraid of them. A neighbor's pet mysteriously disappears. Injured animals begin appearing near the home. When a child harms animals in secret, it means they know it is wrong, but they do it anyway. The most chilling sign is their reaction to death. Most children feel sadness when they see a dead bird or a pet that has passed away. They may cry, ask questions, or struggle to understand loss. But a child with a dark heart, they feel nothing. Or worse, they laugh. Cruelty without remorse is a warning sign that should never be ignored. If a child does not learn to respect life, they will grow into someone who disregards it entirely. Sign 6, blaming others for everything. Epictetus once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." And what is a person who never takes responsibility, if not someone convinced of their own innocence, no matter the truth? Most children, when faced with consequences, may attempt to shift blame now and then. It is human nature to avoid discomfort. But when a child never takes responsibility, when every mistake is someone else's fault, it is no longer just a bad habit. It is a dangerous pattern of deception, manipulation, self-preservation at the cost of others. At first, it seems harmless. A broken toy, it wasn't me. A spilled drink, I didn't do it. But soon the pattern becomes clear. If they push a sibling, they claim they started it. If caught stealing, they insist, I was just borrowing it. If they fail a test, the teacher is to blame. No matter what happens, they are always the victim, and someone else is always at fault. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But a child who refuses responsibility does the opposite. They surrender control by making excuses, manipulating reality to escape consequences. Even when the truth is undeniable, they twist the story, create new lies, frame others. They may break something and place the evidence near a sibling's belongings. Start an argument, but ensure they appear as the innocent party. Lie about being bullied to turn attention away from their own wrongdoing. As they grow more skilled, they learn to play the victim, not just to escape blame, but to control others. If confronted, they say things like, "Why are you always picking on me? I guess I'm just a bad kid, huh?" You never believe me no matter what I say. Instead of apologizing, they manipulate emotions, making others feel guilty for questioning them. They realize that sadness, outrage, playing the misunderstood victim can make people back off. And once they understand this power, with time, their blame shifting becomes more destructive. They steal and accuse others. They cheat and create false excuses. They spread lies to protect themselves while ruining someone else's reputation. Worst of all, they feel nothing. Not guilt, not shame, not concern for the people they harm. And as long as they avoid consequences, nothing else matters. A child who never takes responsibility is walking a dangerous path, one that leads to deception, betrayal, a total disregard for truth. If left unchecked, they do not simply grow out of it. They grow into adults who cheat, manipulate, and destroy trust without remorse. Sign 7. Growing fascination with violence. Seneca once wrote, "All cruelty springs from weakness." But what happens when a child does not see violence as weakness, but as power? Most children understand that causing pain is wrong. Even when they play rough, they learn limits. But some children develop a deep, unnatural attraction to violence. Not just in movies or video games, but in reality. They are not disturbed by destruction. They are drawn to it. At first, the signs may seem subtle. They obsess over violent videos, watching fights or destruction repeatedly. They doodle disturbing images of pain and suffering. They speak about harm casually, as if it means nothing. But then, something more unsettling emerges. They seek out violence. They become fascinated with weapons, blood, stories of real-life cruelty. They laugh at brutality in movies. When others flinch, they do not turn away. From suffering, they stare, captivated. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." A child who fixates on violence does not just imagine harm, they begin to act on it. They push, hit, or bully, not for control but for enjoyment. They harm animals, break things for pleasure, and intimidate others, just to see fear in their eyes. And as time passes, they escalate. History's most violent criminals did not become that way overnight. Many started as children who showed no empathy, enjoyed suffering, fantasized about destruction. A child who delights in pain, who speaks of harming others as if it is normal, carries one of the most chilling signs of an evil nature. If left unchecked, they do not grow out of it, they grow into it. Evil does not always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers through small actions, a cold stare, a hollow apology, a lie told too easily. It hides behind innocence, waiting for the moment to grow. The most dangerous thing you can do is ignore the signs, to convince yourself it's just a phase, just a mistake. But the truth is, some paths once taken do not lead back. If this video made you see things more clearly, let me know in the comments. Have you ever witnessed these warning signs in someone before? What happened? Your insight could help others recognize the truth before it's too late. And if you found this content valuable, consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It's a simple action, but it helps bring awareness to those who need it most. Awareness is the first step toward protection. Stay observant, trust your instincts, and never turn a blind eye to what must be seen. And remember, what we choose to confront today can change what we fear tomorrow. I'll see you in the next video.